Hey family, welcome to the tribe. This is another edition of A Tribe Called Family. I'm your host, Octavius Davis. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. So if you've been following this podcast, you know that we have an opportunity to speak with individuals from various walks of life who have either fostered, adopted, or had the opportunity to have their family reunified. And today we have an opportunity to speak with a gentleman who actually hails from Philly and retired as a postman, but both he and his wife determined they had a whole lot of love to give, and so they decided to take the fostering route.
Hey family, welcome to the tribe called family.
Please welcome to today's show, Mr. Gene Hyden. Gene, welcome to the show, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, and yourself?
Doing well. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you carving out time to talk with us. So I mentioned at the beginning that you come to us from Philly. So let's talk about, before we get into your foster journey, let's talk about Philly, right? Because you were a postman there in the Philadelphia area, born and raised.
Born in Munich, Germany. My father was in the military at the time in Germany. So yeah, and then caught the big ship back here to this country, and we settled right in Philadelphia, a small town called Sharon Hill, right near the airport, like 5 minutes from the airport in Sharon Hill. So lived there most of my life, and as I got older, 18, 19, got on my own and moved to Philadelphia, inside West Philadelphia, near 53rd Market. Raised a family there, and like I said, had a career, 26 years at the post office, retired. They offered me early retirement, so I took that. I had some other skills that I was utilizing as a handyman slash contractor, and built a business there. And then when I decided, hey, it's time to move to Florida,
Yep.
that's we did that in 2014. Finally moved down here in Florida, Jacksonville. Been loving it ever since.
Well, welcome to Florida. And I've never had the opportunity to visit Philly yet.
Oh no.
When I think of Philly, there are three things that come to mind: cheesesteaks, Rocky, and the Philadelphia Eagles. What am I missing? Am I missing something in that trifecta?
Nah, that's it. Philadelphia pretzels, soft pretzels too, but yeah, definitely cheesesteaks, and I make them a lot. I also do a lot of cooking here. I got one of those TikTok food channels that I have that I do cooking on there, Mr. Gene Cooks, in case anybody's interested. Got a
Hey,
lot of
let's go for it.
got a lot of recipes I got out there. So yes, Mr. Gene Cooks.
So here it is. You're now living here in Florida, retired now. And if I understand correctly, you have children, adult children, who are
Yes.
doing well and out there on their own. So talk to us a little bit about your parenting journey. What was that like for you? Because if I'm not mistaken, you have all boys. So what was that like for you raising those young men?
Okay, and in Philadelphia, I have three boys with the previous wife. They're all adults, men. Two are still in Philadelphia, one is in LA. Like I said, all three are entrepreneurs. The youngest is got a psychology, a master in psychology, so he teaches kids that have learning disabilities, that type of thing. And he was also a basketball player, played overseas for a while now. I understand he's now also an assistant coach at his previous college that he attended. So all of them doing pretty good. The second oldest, Mark, he's tattoo artist, and he's got his own urban wear, hoodies,
Nice.
pants, shirts, t-shirts, all that stuff. He sews clothes, and so he's got his own little business entrepreneurship over there. And my son in LA, Blake, he's 39, about 39. He'll be 40 next month. He's working in the industry. He does makeup artist. So he works with another hairstylist that works with some of the stars out there. So he's doing his own thing out there. And then our oldest son, who's in Deltona, he has a home inspection business, and I think him and his wife have a legal service business. So they're doing a lot of things, and they do a lot of traveling too. So, and then we have some grandkids with those. boys and stuff, but we don't get to see them that often because of the
Sure.
distance, Philadelphia and Deltona, so we don't get to see our grandkids that much. So, but we decided to open up our home since we have a lot of love to share. And like I told you, I'm in ministry, I'm an assistant pastor. So, that's part of my ministry to minister to boys or mentor boys. So we decided to get involved, and this was we had some friends that were involved in it. They said, "Hey, why don't you try this out?" See, and we did the respite thing for a little bit, seeing how that worked out. And then we decided to get involved and open our house up to some boys. So like I said, we have 3 boys here, and we're loving it, and we're loving on them.
Yeah.
And you see the difference because you see movies and you hear some of the horror stories and stuff, or we read the news and you say, "Oh wow, that's going on. I can't believe that's happening." And
Sure.
when you actually get that red folder and you see the real life stories that some of these kids are going through, you say, wow, it really is happening. And how can I help? And like I'm telling you that I like to see more men get involved in doing the foster care because there are a host of women. Every time,
Right.
every time I do a respite thing or something, there's always the women doing it, but very, very few men unless they have a spouse or something. But there's a lot of single women actually doing the foster care, and a lot of them are doing the foster care with the boys, you know. But so it'd be very helpful if the men were involved in doing the
Sure.
foster care to mentor some of these boys. I think it would make a difference.
And I'd like to ask a question on that because you've stated from the very beginning just your affinity for young men making deposits into their lives and things of that nature. But then you also shared that you and Miss Hyden, the two of you, you're now here. You've been married for 8 years. Whose idea was it to become a respite foster parent? Was that yours or
Mine,
it was yours? All right. It
mine.
didn't take a whole lot of convincing on your end to get Miss Hyden on board.
No, not a whole lot. Because at first I was looking at doing some other things as far as taking care of doing like assisted living type thing, but there's a lot of things involved in that, always having the nurses involved and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to get involved in mentoring boys some kind of way. I know some other boys clubs and other things, but I wanted a more hands-on approach, you know what I mean? Because a lot of
Yeah,
times that's hit or miss with the boy, just taking a boy out for a weekend or something and but living with them and teaching them, sometimes I with the boys I have, I'll sit them down and we watch YouTube videos on manners, how etiquette, how to eat at the dinner table, because a lot of that's missing, just the
yeah,
basic stuff that you take for granted that kids know they don't know. So we just deal with the basics, teach them how to do their own laundry, you know, teach them how to cut the grass, teach them how to make a couple of dollars doing things like that. Yeah, being respectful, just saying please and thank you. Sometimes it's non-existent with some of these kids. And that goes a long way. Just the basics of just learn how to say please and thank you makes people want to do more for you. And I try and
absolutely.
instill that kind of stuff into them. So these boys are doing pretty good. Um,
So what inspired you to make the transition from a respite caregiver to a licensed foster parent?
because with the respite, I know a lot of people are interested just doing the respite. They don't want to do it 24/7 with with the kids. But I just felt the need to be more involved with it, not just having different kids come every other day or how often you're doing respite. Some people do it every day. You know, I don't think, I think you make a more impact if you have them there all the time. You know what I mean? Just take one or two and spend the time with them, however long it is, whether it's the 12 months, that their parents get themselves together, or whether it takes longer. Like for our instance, um, two of the boys, their parents law returned in their rights, so I forget to relinquish their parenting rights. So they'll be with us. So it gives us the opportunity to even do um, more time to spend with them, training them and teaching them things that they need to know
Yeah,
as young men. You know, like I said, one of them 17, teaching them how to treat a lady. Like my wife, she she won't get out the car unless somebody opens the door. She won't, she won't open the door, So
Right.
she loves teaching them, and then you just see them fight to see who's going to open the door for her.
Yeah,
So, just those kind of things that still that kind of value in them. Chivalry is not dead. Women should be treated nicely and that type of thing. So
absolutely.
so they get it from both ends, how to treat a woman, and then I teach them things, how to be respectful.
And I think that's outstanding because, as you mentioned, you sit down and you watch videos on etiquette and manners and things of that nature, but you're giving them an opportunity to actually apply those principles that
Yes.
you're showing them, or rather that you all are watching together on YouTube. Talk to us a little bit about the personalities, because you have three young men that are with you right now. And, for purposes of always wanting to protect the identity of the young people that we talk about on the show, we don't reveal names, but talk about their personalities. Three young men, I'm sure they have three different personalities. And how are you and Mrs. Hyden parenting them according to their different personalities?
Okay. Just like I said, with the four boys that we had, each kid is always different.
Yeah.
It can range. No two are alike. And in the instance with these three, like I said, two are brothers, one's 17, and the other one's 11. Um, the oldest, he's kind of laid back, relaxed, um, very, very well mannered, very well mannered. Everywhere we go, people, oh, he can come stay with us any old time, or at the church. Oh, he's so helpful. He's that's quiet. Like sometimes he kept to himself, does his own thing on his headset or whatever. If you wanted a team, if he'd be the one you want,
Yeah. Yeah.
no problems. So very helpful. So a little forgetful, but helpful. Hey,
Sure.
you're supposed to take out the trash. That kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
typical
I
teen
think
stuff.
all teams suffer with that.
Yes. Other than that, he'd be like the perfect teen that you want. The second one, who's 11-year-old, his brother. You scratch your head a little bit, like okay,
Yeah.
you know, um, has to be kept on focus. That type of kid. 11 years old. Hey, do this now. It's time to do that now. Time to take your shower now. That kind of thing. And between him and then the other 10-year-old we have that they're not related, it was a little bickering between the two of them.
Hmm.
I'm right. No, you can't do this. And yeah, you can't do that. And the 11-year-old tries to tell him, nah, you can't do this. You let me show you what to do. Nah, so there's a little competition going on between the two of
Sure.
them. And or he's too loud. So the 10-year-old we have is very hyper, ADHD off the roof. He
Hmm. Hmm.
cannot sit on the sofa. He has to stand and just bounce back and forth. Just he cannot sit still. So trying to deal with that. But so it varies between the two. I'm like 11-year-old, he likes to be by himself too.
Okay.
So if he's got his little tablet or phone, he's on his phone all the time. He can stay in his room all day. He'll do that. But when he gets together with the 10-year-old, it's like, the two of them, they'll go chasing one another.
Yeah. Yeah. They get one another going.
You got to kind of get them to stop. So, or the 11-year-old, when we had another boy, um, the two of them were always at it. It was like, the 11-year-old was biting the other kid. I'm like, why are
Mm,
you biting? I was just playing. But you don't, that's,
right.
trying to explain that or find out where'd you get that from, that was okay to do. That's a
Right.
whole nother gamut of
They keep you on your toes, Gene. They keep you
yeah,
your
yeah,
feet
yeah.
on.
But anyway, the other young man that we had here, he finally went back to his father. So he's doing well. He's been gone for about 6 months now. So he got reunified with his family there. So he's doing pretty good. So we're happy to see that happen. We got to witness that firsthand, what that whole transition thing was like. And we talk to him on and off just to, not to meddle in his business, but just to check on him, see how he's doing. I get to see his grades because it's still showing up on my focus accounts thing. So he's straight A student.
Beautiful.
So he's doing well. but yeah, but for the most part, it works out. You know, it's like a family setting. We all go to church on Sunday, and like I said, the oldest one, he's always well mannered at church and helps out. You know, so it's just a great feeling that we get. You know, making it work, making the family work, and teaching these kids how to manage life. You know, Isaiah's
Absolutely.
got some. I mean, the oldest one has some prepare himself. He's in 10th grade now, so he's
Okay.
got a couple years to go through school, and he's got to start thinking about, all right, what am I going to do afterwards? So we've
Right.
been trying to get him to study some things to get some ideas, some career possibilities, and his options to college or whatever. So we got him to write down some things. So he's thinking about doing being a canine dog policeman trainer. So we said, all right, well, let's look at what that entails, you know, because I tell him, I said, you have no investigative skills. Yeah, I said, you don't notice anything that's going on around you. I said, you don't remember this, you can't remember that. It's,
Right.
maybe cop ain't for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
But
just to pick a side of the force. He got to look at the training aspect, like you mentioned.
yeah,
You're
so,
listening to a Tribe Called Family. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Octavius Davis. I'm joined by Gene Hyden. Gene is talking with us about his family's fostering journey. He is currently fostering three young men along with his wife, Brenda. And he was just sharing with us about the difference in their personalities. So let's talk a little bit about you and Mrs. Hyden for a moment. It was your idea to become a respite foster parent. And then you said it didn't take a whole lot of convincing to get Mrs. Hyden on board. But before the two of you became respite foster parents, what was your understanding of being a foster parent? And did you have any concerns with starting that journey?
yeah, I guess the typical concerns, what kind of kid is coming in our house, you know? Do we have to lock a room door, you know, but to put
Right,
away all of the knives and all that thing, you know, but pretty much they go through all that when we went through all the training and stuff prior. So we got to ask a lot of questions and kind of prepare. And then, like I said, my pastor, my bishop, he and his wife had done foster care for years and years. And even so, like his daughter, which I call my niece, she's doing it now. She has, I think she has about 4 or 5 boys. So I got to see firsthand, and I know the kids that my bishop had raised. Now they're like daughters and stuff. So I got to meet them over the years too. So I got to see kind of what the life entailed firsthand. So that kind of prepared me before I even thought like, do I really want to do this?
sure.
But you know, so I and then doing respite occasionally with my niece, um, seeing her kids and the impact, you know, just the effect that them being around me for the period of time that I have them, even if it's just like for the day, you know, doing the day respite thing, you know, taking them with me to do some other small odd jobs and stuff that I still kind of occasionally do. Like I said, do home repairs and kitchen bathroom all, and just taking them with me sometimes to see what their interest is and those type of things. And seeing their faces, you know, the curiosity, the questions and stuff that they have, you know. So there's a lot of hope that you can instill in these kids that they can do something. And I try to encourage them, hey, you can be anything you want to be, you know.
Right.
You it's all available to you. And I try to always tell them, hey, you guys all have these phones, you know, the questions you have, the answers, you can YouTube just about anything.
Absolutely.
Any question you want to know, and I do that with the older ones here because he's always asking me 100 questions. I say, okay, get the
Hmm.
phone, you know, because that's something my dad instilled to me back when it was just phone books, you know, big old thick.
Right. Right.
He said, go look it up in the phone book. You know, I remember I wanted karate lessons, and he said, go get up in the phone book, find out the closest place, and see what they charge for, you know, all that type of stuff. So I
Hmm.
always had that habit of researching. So I try to instill it. Hey, y'all have these phones, research it because you have millions of questions, and y'all have tablets and cell phones. Google, you have no reason not to find the answer. You know,
Exactly.
So it's just simple things that they don't, they just think I'm playing games on these things. Oh, this is a tool. All
Absolutely
the
it is.
answers you can find are there just about. And if not, I
Absolutely.
can help you find them or we can research together. But that's the thing, just teaching them that you can do anything you want to do. And you don't have to, look for the quick buck, the quick hustle, the snatch and grab that a lot of these kids are getting involved with. Um, you
Yeah.
know,
And as I understand it, Gene, you've also written a book about fostering. What's
yeah,
the name of the book and what inspired you to write a book about fostering?
because offhand, I didn't know there was any book out there just to give general information about. You know, so I put together called the Foster Parents Handbook. It's just simply like, what's the first day like when you open, when you get that first kid or whatever? Because we were kind of hesitant when we got that first call from FSS. Like Mr. Hyden, we have someone because first we waited for a while. I think it was 2 months before we even got a call about anything. I'm like, okay, I guess they'll call us. And then when we got that call, I think it was like 9 p.m. On a Friday night or something. Hey, we have these two boys.
Mm,
Then we started thinking, okay, what, because they don't over the phone, you don't get all the information.
right.
You get something. It was a family of four. Or, I know you don't want girls because we only wanted to, take some boys because we had the room set up. We had two sets of bunk beds in there. So we were able to take four. So we took these two boys in. And then the next day we got another call about another boy. And we're like, oh,
Uh,
okay, well,
yeah.
can we do this?
Right.
So we got thrown right into the fire, so to speak. And trying to make sure they were comfortable, not like I said, not knowing detailed information or how their emotional state was, being that they were taken out of the home, so you don't know, are they angry? That was my thinking. I'm taken out of my home, y'all took me away. Uh,
Right.
are they gonna be angry at the world type thing? But they were scared too.
Sure.
Found that they were scared, nervous, not sure where they going, who are these people? One of the boys was saying it seemed like forever to get where they were taking us. We had no idea where they were taking us, but it seemed like it took a long time.
Mhm.
And just those first night experiences, do you need anything? Of course we had all of basic necessities for them, toothbrush, a washcloth, towel, all the things. Hey, you want to take a shower? Hey, you hungry? Let's fix something to eat. All those basic things. Well, so I decided, okay, those are things that need to be in a book to kind of ease the tension of those who are thinking about it, you
Right.
know. Because the worst case scenario, there's help in case things don't go right. They give you emergency number to contact in case, well, you don't have a caseworker right away, but you have people you can call right away in case something happens, just to reassure the potential foster parent that, hey, there's some guides to let you know what to expect, in those first days, the first weeks, navigating the emotions of the kids and yourself, engaging with the support network, making a support network, having knowing other people that are doing it that kind of help you walk through it,
Yeah.
answer the simple questions, So that helped me a lot. Like I said, my pastor and his wife, they had done it for years. And then with my niece, she also doing it. I had an instant access to people that could answer some questions if I had some. Hey, what do you do when this happens? What do you do when that happens? So, and then I have a neighbor around the corner that I know. I'm sure you probably know Miss Joyce Andrews.
Oh,
She,
yeah. A pro's pro when it
okay,
comes to fostering.
exactly. So she's my neighbor, and I know her. So
Oh, you're in great hands.
there you go. So you see what I'm saying? So having that network of
Yeah.
people that know what to do, when to do, that helped guide me through it. So I talk to her occasionally. Half the time if I need respite right away, I can call her around the corner. So right around the corner. So
Well, it's so amazing just the community of fostering that exists. Before the interview, you and I had an opportunity to talk, and you shared that your pastor, has fostered, and his daughter is now fostering, and of course, you mentioned Miss Andrews. So it's beautiful that you've had an opportunity to get plugged into a community of other foster parents for that continued support. And so, with that being the case, you also mentioned before we began recording the desire to see more men involved with fostering. Why do you believe it's so important for men to become more involved in the lives of young people through the vein of foster care?
Um, like I said, these boys, they need men in their life. And, even in school, public schools, not a lot of men in there either,
Very
teachers.
true.
I mean, I don't know, I don't know why, but hey, it is what it is. But these boys, they need a man in their life. A lot of them don't, whether they have single parents, they have just the mom usually, or the grandmom raising them. And I just see it time and time that there's no access to men, and a lot of them aren't even involved in church, so they don't have that connection. So it's a needed, much needed thing that these boys need men in their lives some kind of way just to help them with the basics because they're struggling. I mean, aside from the sagging pants, that whole mindset, it just blows my mind. Like every time I see it, how can you walk that way? Just to give them some corrections. And none of these guys in here sag, none, you know, but but just the simple things, like I said, the basics, hygiene. Let's take a shower every night. I teach them, you take a shower every night, 8:30, boom, we're doing it. They don't realize it or were never taught that you need to
Right.
keep this body clean, to keep from infections, diseases, whatever, just basic hygiene, the smelly sneakers, changing the socks. Some of these kids are wearing the same socks all week and things, wash like they're washing your clothes, teach them how to wash your clothes. The older ones, I taught how to iron,
Mhm.
one of them never knew what an iron was, because he said he
Oh,
never saw one in his house.
wow.
So it's like, wow, you're saying, wow, just there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that you hear from them that they are unaware of. They just don't know. Nobody ever taught them. And the oldest one, he's 17. He didn't know what a nephew was. He didn't know what that term meant, a nephew. I said, oh, you didn't know what nephew was? It means your brother's son, or your sister's son is your nephew. Oh, so, these kids don't know how to tell time using a analog clock. It has to be a digital, otherwise they can't tell time.
Mm.
You know, so it's just so many little things. Like I said, with the manners, playing please and thank you, how to eat at the table, not to smack your food every time you eat, not all the
Right.
things. And it's funny because we took the oldest out for his birthday last week, and he had a little girlfriend, at the dinner table, and and I told him before because he like woofs down the food. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, dude, that don't look that don't look good at the dinner table. He was eating a big piece of fish, and he's about to. I said,
Oh man, like in the cartoons, huh? Put the fish in and pull the bone out.
I'm like on the other end of the table. I'm like, use your fork, use
Yeah,
so just the stuff that us as men can teach them, women too, but they need that manly thing, sometimes I see some of the foster moms, sometimes they struggle,
sure.
'cause these guys get a little violent or whatever, and of course, sometimes that man voice, can put them in check. And
Sure.
it doesn't require a lot, really doesn't. I mean, you got a bedroom, bed, or I took and converted our den into a bedroom, you know. I just took and built the wall, painted whatever I need to do, and then made it accessible to put two bunk beds in there and a door. So
Yep.
it doesn't take a lot. And like I said, it's such a value, and you get the rewards of seeing the talents and gift you have that you can instill in some of these young men just to steer them straight. Because like I said, if not, the things that they connect with the wrong people doing the wrong things, and they don't realize how like quickly they can ruin their lives
Right.
just by being with the wrong person at the wrong time. But we as men, if we can get involved with just one, I mean, just making a difference with one,
Yeah.
you
You
know.
make the reference of not getting involved in the lives of these young people could cause them to get connected with the wrong person at the wrong time. And so with that, they can get connected with the right person at the right time by way of fostering. So, as we near the end of today's show, what would you say to someone who's been considering becoming a foster parent, but they just haven't taken that step to move forward?
Mhm. I'm available. I'm available to help you make those decisions and to walk you through the process. I'll make myself available for that because it's needed. It really is. You know, I can only do so much with the three. I got three.
Sure.
For me, that's right now, that's enough for, I don't know. But just making a choice to do one. I'll help any man with the process if they're on the fence about it, Maybe they're thinking about it. I know a lot of times what happens with us adults, put it plainly, we get selfish. It's
Sure.
about me,
Sure.
and I
Yeah.
think that might be a holdup with a lot of adults that don't want to get involved. I'm trying to live my life. And that's the problem with some of these younger adults. They're trying to live their so-called best life, and the
Right.
kids are just going,
Left to fend for themselves.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And sad to say that's the case with these two brothers I know. Mom was just doing her own thing, and she was 30 when she had the
Mm.
first son. I'm sorry, she was 15. So, okay. So she's
Yeah.
30, 31, 32 now, and she gave up. So but like I said, we can make a difference. Even if you just do one, just do one. To have that one boy in your house. You don't have to be a young baby. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Yeah.
You can choose because that's what we did. So we decided we only wanted to do teens. We didn't want to do anything diaper changing or whatever or that type of thing. So we chose to do like between the ages of 10 on up. And you know, and like I said, you get the option of choosing, when you get the phone call, hey, this sounds like something you be interested in doing for this particular one, yes, no, not, that type of
Right.
thing. Like I said, we can offer so much for so little of our lives. It really doesn't take that lot. We thought, okay, oh, it might affect our being able to take vacation times and different things like that. No, no, you still can schedule it. That's why you have other respite parents that can help, those times you need a break. Because that's one thing
Absolutely.
you do need some me time. And
Yep.
that was one thing that me and my wife, that was some of her concern. Well, what about us and our time? Are we going to lose that time? I said, no, we ain't going to lose it. I said, you know, we plan in advance. So we plan our personal vacations in advance, and then we do our summer stuff or whatever for the kids, holidays and stuff. We do spend time with them and stuff to do different things. Like I said, we do the birthday things, and I bought not season tickets to go down the fun spot down Orlando. I got tickets for that, so
Nice.
if y'all act right and whatever, we'll go do a trip, do a day trip down there. So like I said, it's little things that we can do to make a difference, big impact on these kids' lives that can change them forever. Like I said, I see it. I see it. Every day, the 11-year-old, before he goes off to catch the bus, he'll come and give me a hug around my neck, for goodbye, Mr. Gene. And he call my wife mom, call her mom. So, they're all loving it. So it's like I
Yeah.
said, it's just one big family, extended family, you know.
Well, that's absolutely amazing, Mr. Hyden. I am very grateful for parents like yourself and Mrs. Hyden who has so much love to share with these young people who are currently navigating one of the most challenging and difficult times in their lives. Very quickly, because you do have a book, we made mention of it. How can listeners access your book if they would like to get a copy?
Just go to Amazon.com and you can search my name, Gene Hyden. And you'll see some of other books I have. But then, like I said, the name of the book is The Foster Parents. You can see, I don't know if you can see the color. I don't know how that works. Does it show up? It
Now
doesn't
that
show up on the
that green screen is hiding it.
screen. Yeah, okay.
Foster Parents
But
Handbook. There you go. A Foster
but
Parents Handbook. They can get it off
yeah,
Amazon.
Foster Parents Handbook. And it gives basic information, what to expect the first day, dealing with some emotional issues that you may have and that the child may have, what to look for, different things like that. It's just a helpful little guide. I think it was like $7, I think, for the printed. And it's also an ebook. So it's in both ebook and also the printed form. But it's a good book. It's just a handy thing. And like I said, if any guy out there is even thinking about it, hey, if you can give him my number, I like to talk to him about it because it makes a difference. It really does. And it goes beyond, like I said, just being a part of the boys club or whatever those organizations, not knocking them, but to have a kid with you, in your home, showing them, because showing how to live is different from just spending a day on a Saturday or a Sunday, throwing a football or whatever. That's good and all, but just because I think kids like to see how someone lives.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's one thing to see somebody on a weekend and just okay, that time you don't get to really see the real them, So I just think it makes a big difference having that child in your home, that boy in your home, that son, or even, like I said, daughter, whoever wants to do daughters. But it makes a big difference for these young men, just one kid at a time.
Well, Mr. Hyden, thank you so much to you and Mrs. Hyden for the differences that you all are making in the lives of the young people you've had an opportunity to foster previously, but also currently with the 3 young men that you have with you. So thank you so much for joining us today on A Tribe Called Family.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Enjoy.
Absolutely. My
Bye-bye.
pleasure. And thank you as well for listening to another edition. If you're interested in fostering, I encourage you to reach out to the local community-based care organization in your community to find out how you can get involved with fostering. Until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.
Hey family, welcome to the tribe called family.